Sagittarius.
Hello Sagittarius, this is your astrological forecast for June 2016, and this month is a huge relationship month for you. And this is because the Sun and Venus and that new moon is illuminating this area of your chart, which is going to allow you to really dive deeply into your partner, your significant other. And if you're single, well, maybe this is a month that you can come to meet that somebody special. And especially because we have the new moon here, which creates new beginnings for us. The new moon is always when we want to plant new intentions, because it has the power to stay with us for a full 12 months ahead until the new moon shows up in this area again next year around the same time. So this new moon is on June 4th, 14 degrees in Gemini. So depending if you have any other planets at 14 degrees in your chart, that new moon will trigger off on them as well and create these new beginnings in those areas as well. That's not something I can see from here because that would be in your birth chart or your natal chart. Now, the Sun and Venus both being in Gemini, well, that allows us to really download and embed a little bit more of the Gemini energy. And they have, as we all know, the gift of gab, which is communication. So you're going to see here now how important it's going to be communicating with your partner communicating with you. And it doesn't really just have to be your significant other. It could be anyone that you share a lot of one-on-one time with, like a partner. Now, Venus here, I feel too, is in a good place. It's moving directly, so you will have that energy moving, pushing forward. And it's good to say though, because there's so many other planets now that are retrograde, especially here as I'm recording in May. The Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Neptune and Pluto all are retrograding. But the good news here in June is that Mercury now has moved forward, which is currently passing through your 6th house. Mercury rules communication. It's in your day-to-day area of how you're setting up your schedules. You might be thinking a whole lot about how you could tweak your schedule so that it will be more so, should I say, efficient for you and very effective as you move forward in the coming months. Whatever you're doing right now is something that's going to have a long-term effect upon you. Mars, though, is retrograde and will be to June 29th. Mars rules your physical energy. It is also your drive, your goals, your aims, your ambitions. When it is retrograde, we may not feel as physically active as we would like to be. And it is hiding in your 12th house. It was already moved into your 1st house, into your sign of Sag, but it has retrograded back into that 12th house. And that has to do with our subconscious mind. So you will find that that is really working and going back over past situations. And it's just giving you a little extended time to wrap up any loose ends of either earlier opportunities or things that you were working with. Now you're seeing like the fuller picture from a higher perspective. And so whatever you can do now, you want to get those ducks in a row till July starts, because then Mars will be on the active, moving as it's preparing to let go of a 2-year cycle. That is 24 months where it started in your 1st house back then. So you're actually revving up now a full two new year cycle to bring out all of that good, positive, beautiful energy of your goals, ambitions, and aims, and so forth. So take it a little easy, just follow along, pay attention to your intuition. 12th house is always your intuition, and when Mars is there, it's trying to trigger off on these higher aspects of your consciousness, which has to do with your goals, okay? But you're kind of like aligning yourself to listen within. This is really going to behoove you here, Sagittarius. Then we have Jupiter moving direct, thank God, which is also your ruler, by the way, which is now from May 10th or 9th, depending on where you live, now opening up the doorways for you when it has to do with your career. Jupiter in the 10th house in this area can really come to expand this career field for you. You want to make the most out of it here till late summer before she moves into your 11th house. Won't be back for another 12 years. So this is the best career cycle for you, and I can't stress that enough here, Sagittarius. But whatever she's putting in place for you now, you can benefit from over the next 12 years. Not saying that you might not come to change careers, you know, under that period, but whatever you're doing now, it's really going to up it to a new level. So Jupiter is always very gracious. It's also very abundant. So I feel there's great news for you when it comes to work and career. But then we have Saturn. Saturn is retrograde, and it is in your first house. The first house has to do with how you use your physical energy, how you express yourself out to the world. Saturn is karma. It's our own inner karma. It's our own inner sense of authority as well. Externalized Saturn is outer authority. That could be your supervisor, could be your boss, it could be the government. Now when Saturn is retrograding, it's asking you, have I taken the steps I needed to? Have I done everything I could do? Where am I at now as opposed to where was I 7 years ago, 14 years ago, 28 years ago? It's a 28-year cycle it operates on. So we divide that up into the squares, the 7 years, 14 years. So when everything now is coming together from a higher perspective of looking to the past, this is going to give you a great insight of where you see yourself 7 years from now, 14 years from now, 21 years from now, and when it comes back to exactly where it is today. So it is definitely a long-term thing opening up in your consciousness. And when we have that beautiful Jupiter up in the 10th house, that is probably what you're thinking about. Where do I go from here, and where do I want to end up from here, right? Then we have also Neptune retrograde from June 14th to that of November 20th. And Neptune rules our spirituality, our higher consciousness, our creativity, hopes and dreams, and so forth. And when it is retrograde, it's a little bit more weakened, but it's not gone. It's just more internalized. So again, you want to listen within to what's going on in your consciousness and how you can take this energy and use it. At the end of the year, up and running there in the 4th house. So if your hopes and dreams are about real estate, property, that's what the 4th house rules. It's the foundation of your life, the security of your life. Neptune is wanting to dream up something that it could work for you creatively on a higher level, maybe in a different location. Neptune is always lofty, but without the dream we cannot manifest. So I can see how you're dreaming of maybe a move here where the 4th house, property, home, real estate, family, also ruled by the 4th house, is coming into the picture. So between now and then, I feel there could be a lot going on as you are getting all your ducks in a row in this area to see what's going to take place there. End of the year, but especially when you start moving forward here in 2017. One more retrograde to go through, and that is Pluto. Pluto is the pivotal point of transformation. It is retrograding in your 2nd house for money and income. Now, it's moved more than halfway through this area from it started. So a lot of you Sagittarians, when Pluto first entered into your 2nd house, you could have come up against very difficult times financially, because what Pluto does, wherever it appears, it will first tear down the old structures, but for a higher reason. But we don't always see it, nor do we feel it while we're going through the tear down period, because that's all we see. That becomes our reality. But then comes the magic of Pluto. Then it will renew and rebuild, restructure. And so here we have a rebirthing going on. So financially, you will see that your income sector is totally under renovation. and renewal. This will be retrograde to September 26th. So as it's retrograding, Pluto within your mind, your higher mind, is thinking, what do I really want to do? Where are my talents, skills? Where are my desires? Pluto really rules our desires because it's the ruler of Scorpio, right? So it's finding your desire. That is where you're going to find your success. When you find that, and you have months now to tweak it, to work it, and once the planet moves forward again, you'll see the rebirthing energy of Pluto coming in, creating that magic. So you can come to experience a raise, not just a raise, but more money coming in. Pluto rules good money. So this is more so for the end of the year coming into 2017 onward. There should be some major restructuring there. But June, just like May was a great month, especially those first couple of weeks, if you go back and re-listen to it now, you will see how it really opened up the door for many things. And then towards the end of May, we started getting a few challenging transits. And this is where June is starting off too. And it is a little bit of a testy month, I gotta be honest. And it starts out with the Sun, which is you, representative of you. And then Venus, the things that you love and desire, things important to you. They're squaring off on Neptune. Neptune is your hopes and dreams, your visions, your spirituality and whatnot. But it is retrograde for one. Secondly, the squares are very difficult transits. It's a challenge. So there might be things here that can be said or promised, but since the planet is retrograde, and it is squared, it might not be what you think it is, or you're not hearing it for what it is, or maybe it's somebody who's not hearing what you're saying correctly. So we want to be very clear on how we express ourselves or take in information. Whenever in doubt, do ask to verify. Because on the 3rd, those two same planets, the Sun and Venus, those things that are important to you, will now be, excuse me, challenged as they're coming up to a opposition to Saturn. Remember, Saturn is your inner authority or external authority. Now, when they're at odds like this, you might say to somebody, you said this, and then the person can turn around and say, no, I didn't say that, I said this. So that's that confusion of that foggy Neptune, when Neptune is not right, you know, on its highest frequency. It creates confusion. So through confusion, there can be challenge. This challenge on the 3rd can last straight throughout there to the 9th, as Mercury is coming in also to an opposition to Mars. So there's friction. Mercury, which is communication, is heading in one direction, and Mars is heading in the opposite direction. So we're not fully aligned with our energy. Our biorhythms, in other words, are like totally at odds. And Mercury there will be in your 6th house, Mars in that 12th house. So if you find that people are a little bit more agitated, just know it's the planets. Even this shall pass. On the 12th and the 14th, the Sun and Venus, the same two planets again, because they're following each other, they're moving into a beautiful aspect on the 12th and the 14th with Uranus. Uranus always brings us the unexpected surprises, the big oh my gods, the wow factor. And for you, having Uranus here in your chart, 5th house, for love and relationship or creative projects. It's also your children. It's the business that you own. Now, having a great aspect here from both the Sun and Venus, that's you feeling really happy, receiving some good news. It could even be news about some money coming in or a contract. So I'm feeling that, you know, this is really coming to you at a time where you can need a little picker-upper after how the first couple of weeks have been. But lo and behold, we're still not done with the challenges, because whatever started early in the month, it's still lingering. It's still working, and there might still be some confrontations and workout between the 17th and the 20th. This is when Saturn, which is retrograde, mind you, or and Neptune, also retrograde, they're squaring off too. So they're butting heads. And so it's authorities, and it's something that hasn't been clear, or something that has created a very strong disappointment, letdown, miscommunication, fogginess, or where maybe one has been gullible to a certain situation will come in. And then communication on the 20th shows that Mercury, your communication, now being at odds with this authority and squaring off on Neptune, which was the delusion or the disillusion or the disinformation, misinformation. And I feel that's something that started, it's like that same thing that started early in the month. So June, we could say, is a karmic month. We have all these outer planets retrograde, which is also very karmic too. But what it is, though, here, Sagittarius, it's all about purging, getting rid of, cutting to the core. Do what you have to do. Just be very, on the up and up with it, and you will be good. And then it's done. And so here, as we get towards the end of the month, we have a couple of beautiful things taking place. First of all, let's talk about that full moon, which will be 29 degrees in your sign here, Sagittarius, in the first house. Since it's at that last degree, just within a couple of hours, that full moon will move from your first into the second house, which has to do with money and income. And so that stage will be fully illuminated as well. So we can enjoy this full moon for you. And then on the 26th and 27th, well, we have Jupiter with a beautiful golden beam to Pluto. This is your ruler with abundance and generosity, expansion, coming from your 10th house of career to Pluto into your 2nd house of money and income. This could be a raise, it could be a new contract, it could be a new job, it could be an offer coming your way. And even if it doesn't start right now, as long as you're just hearing about it, you'll see the seeds, the potential that can come from this. And since everything is retrograde, you don't really want to, if you can avoid it, start right now or launch something, but you can discuss it, you can research it, you can get all those ducks in a row, which retrogrades are good for. But Pluto, no, Jupiter is direct, so that's a good thing. On the 27th, Venus, love and romance, with Neptune, a golden beam. Neptune, the higher aspect of Venus. So this is love and romance, and that kind of cosmic type, spiritual love. Beautiful date nights, you want to circle that on your calendar. It's also extremely artsy and artistic. Both Venus and Neptune rules the arts. So for that reason, yes, we can say that the end of the month is ending on a great note. I would suggest listening to your tarot podcasts here for June, as that reading will give you even more information on what you can expect to come here in June. But listen, Sagittarius, have a great month. I will see you in July. Bye now.